Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Beef. We not only talk about everyday problems, we talk about everyday solutions.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And boy, I hope these solutions work because there's a lot of problems out there, buddy.
I don't know that they're working. So we should say that we missed last week's recording.
Yeah.
But that's okay because we're running like 3 weeks behind. Now we're running like 2 weeks behind, I think.
Yeah, we're catching up. We're going to do
the last one we recorded.
Anyway,
Yeah, the thing that's important though is that I have a feeling we're going to start talking about more current events because there's sure a lot of current events going on.
There sure are. There sure are.
Turning this into a political show, which is easy to do, but there are a lot of dynamics, right? That are like whoa, And I realized in the last one we talked about, I mentioned something about how the media turned on Biden after the thing was a strategy, and he's definitely and it is true. But unfortunately, that episode didn't release yet, so
so you didn't look so smart.
I'm not going to look so smart, right? It's going to well, sure, that's easy to predict after it happened, but I promise we recorded that several weeks ago, and so there's plenty more where that came from, I'm sure. So anyway, but before we get into all that stuff, how have you been? You got a lot going on, huh?
Oh, it's the story of my life. Right? It's the story of my life. There's always a lot going on, but it's all been pretty good. There's some, that we probably ventured out, my wife and I, we were without the kids for about 5 or so days.
Oh, trouble.
Yeah,
That's trouble.
So you know what? We behaved ourselves. Let's just say that.
Good. That's good.
I saw you were getting a little bit social out there, though. I saw the once every couple of year tag of Bob. I don't know. I saw your cousin from Chicago, I think, or something. Yeah. And then I saw people at your house, and you were having a blast. So don't act like you're not an entertainer yourself, buddy.
No, I'm not. I mean, they absolutely invited themselves, but
which is okay. Let's be honest, right?
They do watch the show, so I don't want to think like I didn't want that. Of course, I love when they come. It's our big Italian family gathering and everything. The circumstances were less than they were okay. I mean, my uncle passed last year, and they opted not to have like a big funeral. We don't like. I guess we're not like a very big mourning family, but we more like celebrate his life. Some months later, get everyone together and enjoy yourself, and that's what we did. So it was like really good and fun and the right way to do it. Exactly what he would have wanted. So so those were the circumstances. But we did a thing up at my cousin's, and then they came here on Sunday, and that's what you saw. But I saw me being tagged, and I was like,
I don't see Bob out in the old socials too much, So when I do, I pay attention. Scroll through a little bit, look at some nice photos. I met your cousin once before. He's a really nice guy.
Oh, he's great. They're all great. I mean, I don't think I've met the others.
I've just heard you talk about them. But you've definitely spoken highly of all of them.
Yeah, he's got 2 sisters and a stepsister. I guess you'd call her a stepsister. Yeah, probably. And they're all wonderful people. And so, really, really good. And so, it was a nice time. Awesome. But you're right. Good. Yeah, I guess people were like, wow, Bob does live. Now, everything else you've been doing on social media, I've been watching, I get these Instagram notices every once in a while, which I never go on Instagram ever, but I get the notice on my phone that something's happening. So you must be doing something out there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things. So here's something that happened last weekend, right? So my stepson plays baseball. He was in a travel tournament and whatnot, and so it was starting really early in the morning. We had to get ready to go early, right? And typically when I go to these games, it's myself and my wife, and like I said, it's just us in the house. So his father's taking him and doing all that stuff. We got to get motivated and go. You give yourself some time to get up and get ready to go and all that stuff. Now. My mother-in-law likes to travel with us. She likes to go to the games with us and everything.
That's not good.
And she is, first of all, an amazing human, right? I love her to pieces, right? I have to preface this by saying that she does a lot for everybody and she's great.
Sure.
But she's a lot different.
We're going to go and talk about what we're going to talk about.
We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this.
But I get why you just said what you did, because I bet it's going somewhere different. Okay, she's great. Got it.
She's great.
Wonderful. Amazing person. Yes.
Amazing human. Yes, great.
I've never met her, so I'm sure she is.
But this may make sense to you. One thing that she has is what my parents used to call the gift.
The gift.
And that was the short for the Gift of Gab. Right. So
I think have that.
She's a chatty Cathy, so to speak. Right. Yeah. Let's just call it that. Let's just, but my parents used to call it the gift. Right? She's got the gift, right? When somebody could really talk a lot. Right. So it was.
They didn't mean it as a gift, I guess. They meant it
was the Gift of Gab. Let's just leave it there. So I get up in the morning and I'm going down, and it's like 7 a.m. Right. And I'm not much of a morning person. Right. I'm just not, So I get up in the morning and go down. I let the dog out, and she's right there. Right, she's right there. And I open the door, and she's like, "Hey!" Right? Oh, sweet Lord! And I'm pretty sure I threw out an expletive. Right? It's like, holy! Right? That, by the way, was caught on my Ring camera, so I watched it like 5 times.
Oh, did you really?
But, oh yeah. And honestly, buddy, I'm not sure if she was getting paid like by word by the minute. Like I don't. For the next, like, I want to say 5 hours. Oh. It didn't stop.
No.
Let me explain this to you.
5 hours.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Let me explain this to you. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. And she's just going, right? And I'm making coffee. She's like, oh, yeah, you grind your beans. I do pods. And I just ordered these pods. And these pods, I got to get these different ones. And some of these have new flavors. And some of them, like, I need at least my coffee in the morning, right? Oh, yeah, and I got this one. It's like from Jamaica. It's got coconut in it. It's and I'm like my brain's like ready to blow up right now. I'm just making my pot of coffee because I grind the beans, right? And so I needed beans. And literally, she's talking in the background. And I just put up over here. I'm like, hold on. And it's zzz, so I got to grind my beans, and it's really loud, right? She's talking to the whole thing. Stop. I was like, all right, just keep and going, right? So I get dressed, we get in the car, and now the place is about an hour and a half away. Oh, my wife, right? So
where is she sitting though? In the back?
She's in the back. My wife is
projecting
in the passenger seat. She's not behind me, right? She's behind my wife, so that she can get a view of my face while she's talking.
Yes,
right?
Yes, of course.
So she's in that seat. So I'm driving down the road, and it's just wow, where are we going? And I can't believe Hope Tyler plays. All these things going, and I'm like just driving. I turn to my right, and I promise you, hand to God, my wife has an eye mask on, earbuds in, and her head is plastered against the window, and she's out cold.
She knows how to deal with it. She
muted her mother, put on an eye mask, and was out cold. Yeah. So I'm driving, and for the next hour and a half, she's talking to me. And these conversations are simple to start with. Yeah. And then they go in these loops, and sometimes I got to go back and say, remember, Mom, the question that I asked was like, we talked about X. And she's like, oh, yeah. And then all I hear about Merle, and I hear about this, and I hear about vacation in the Catskills. And it's great that she talks about it, but it's good. It was just a lot, right? It was a lot. We go to a softball game, and there's a little bit of breakdown, right? There's a little bit of I get a little bit of a break. I sit in the baseball game. Sorry, I sit in my chair, and I'm watching a game, and and she's got to pick the perfect spot. First of all, the eye angle's got to be there, so I'm standing in front of people, and we're moving around, and we're doing all sorts of stuff, trying to find the right spot to sit in, and this isn't going to work because that bar's in the way. Oh, and then we want to. Let's sit right here. We're going to be right in front of these people. We can't sit here, right?
Yeah,
let's sit over there. We can't sit over there. Come on. We got to think about this stuff. So now I'm getting frustrated, right? And then there's this giant tent that she likes to pop up. And I'm not talking about a single umbrella. This is a giant tent that we got. And then there's people around.
So I'm not popping up the tent.
Yeah, right? It's everything is over the top, right? So then we get back in the car, and the wheels and the motor starts going again, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and it was just a lot. Now I will say this, it was a lot, right? And I will say this. The reason I bring this up is because it was absolutely hilarious, right? I've got some clips on my Ring camera of her talking and stuff.
Don't tell me you're going to post them.
I'm not posting those. No, I love her way too much to do that.
Yeah.
But it's really, really funny. And again, she's an amazing human, but it was a lot, right?
Well, no, if she gives you permission,
Yeah, I'll talk to her about it. We'll chuckle. She likes to laugh, so we'll laugh about it. You know what I mean? If I thought this was going to be insulting to her, I wouldn't be doing any of it, but she'll laugh about it. But the good news is when we left, there's this place in Connecticut called Abbott's. Have you ever been to Abbott's?
Oh, yeah, the lobster place, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Man. Yeah, that's good.
So she's like, let's go to Abbott's. And I was like, yeah, let's go to Abbott's. And she's like, I got the tab. And I was like, I'm going to make you pay.
That's worth it. Okay, it all makes it work. Because if she didn't pay, it would be annoying. Then
it'd be annoying, right? It'd be annoying. It'd be like, come on, I went through all of this. I drove you all the way up here and back, and I listened, and this is what I get. But we did have some good seafood, and the day was fun. We were a lot of laughs and stuff like that. But it was a lot. Right.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
That's a lot.
It was draining. And it was all of these pieces. And, the other piece that makes me nuts a lot of times is, and it's not just with her that I'm talking about it, but the awareness of where you are and what's going on in the situations. It makes me think about that a bit, right?
Yeah.
Around people. Something else happened last night. I don't want to keep talking.
Like reading the room, in other words.
Read the room.
Yeah, read the room.
Like read the room a little bit. Be aware of what's going on. Like, I know you like this big tent sometimes, but look around. Realize that I'm going to put a giant pole in front of the person that's been sitting there for 20 minutes. Nobody, right? We're three people when we show up. You don't need a giant Coleman pop up 10 foot by 10 foot tent. Everything is like, can you bring my tent and hey, can you help me with that? And so that was my weekend last weekend. That was tournament weekend, and that was Sunday.
Yeah.
Was it Saturday? I think that was Saturday, actually. That was Saturday. Yeah.
But break this down for a minute, because people like that, and I've never met her. I've, legit only heard you say nice things when you're not annoyed with her. So
she's an angel.
She's an angel. But
she's got the gift.
Listen, who doesn't get annoyed?
She's got the gift.
Whatever the gift is. But this is not actually a gift. What this is people who, it's a stream of consciousness, right? Whatever's on their brain, they verbalize it. And I don't know if that's their way of thinking. Cause I do this too, right? Mm-hmm. I do this too. Like if there's something on my mind and I want to talk it through it helps me to think it through. So when I'm in you see me do that, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So when I'm in one of those modes, that's what I'm doing. I'm thinking through my mouth. Mm-hmm. But I think the real key to you is, and I think this is right, it needs to be kind of thoughtful, right? Like if you see somebody but when there are people that are just like anything that's on their mind just comes right out, it's usually, I think, a sign of nervousness. I don't know if it is in her case, but man, it is a lot, because it becomes background noise. And clearly your wife knows how to deal with it, because she's like, this is just what I do. Right? Okay, I'm just going to go to sleep. And your mother-in-law didn't care, because she's talking to herself in a way, right? All that to say, you probably could have, if you weren't driving, you could have gone to sleep too, right? And she probably wouldn't have cared. She would have just kept talking to whoever was in the car. Doesn't matter. But that's kind of nice. Now, the problem is when people get offended, right? So someone's talking for 5 hours. And then someone stops listening, and then they get mad. Like, well, no one's listening to me. Well, no one's listening to you because you're talking incessantly. But she doesn't come off to me like the way you describe her as that type of person.
To the extent I could have just said, at any point in time, I could have said, Mom, you're tone it down a little bit. I need a little bit of a break. Give me 20 of quiet, and we're going to. She would have laughed and whatever,
Yeah, see,
but the thing about her
is
she's got this memory, right?
Yeah.
That I remember when I was 18 months old, and I'm like, holy Lord!
Thinking through your mouth. She's thinking through her mouth.
So the stories keep coming, right?
Yeah.
So she's got a lot in there that are stories don't stop. But it was. It wasn't, I'm bringing up the situation because it was funny, right? It was funny, but it also, not necessarily in her situation, but makes me think about this sort of self-awareness piece of things, right? Are people aware of others and things that are going on? The morning, if we take that 1 hour in the morning when you showed up at my house, right? I was half asleep.
Right.
There were questions you were asking me that I couldn't even process.
Right.
But that awareness just isn't there. It's just going. And I see that, which is one of my things that has been bugging me a lot with humans lately, is the lack of self-awareness, reading the room and thinking about, others sometimes, like how might that person be feeling? And that's the part that's been getting me a little bit. Not again, I'm not just picking on my mom. I'm talking about the situation. Yeah.
But lack of awareness, I wonder, is it lack of awareness because people aren't aware? Well, that was quite a drop on the coffee mug. Resonated.
I need some rubber bottom coffee cups. I don't know what to tell you.
No, how big is that thing? Is it awareness? Is it lack of awareness because you just are not aware, or is it that you don't want to be aware? Right. I think there's some of that going on. Again, we could take your mother-in-law out of the picture.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I see people doing things like that. And it's not that they don't know that people are annoyed at something or they don't care, right? Because they have something to say. They're just going to say it, right? They have something that's on their mind. They're just going to say it. They have something they feel. They're just going to, put it out there. They don't care how I feel, right? And I think, I kind of think with a lot of people, at least, it's that. And I wonder if we do that. I'm sure everybody does it to some extent, but I think some people make a habit of it.
I think that's right. And I think they try to, almost excuse themselves sometimes. Oh, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. But then they keep doing the same thing over again, right? Things like that. But there are situations where I just think that there's a lack of awareness, reading the room. We're so absorbed in ourselves and what we're doing, and whether it is technology or just life and everything is just me and looking inward, that we don't realize sometimes the impact of a lot of actions that we're taking or what we're doing or things we're saying on others. And that is just, it's one of my pet peeves, man. It really is. Like simply doing something where, like, if I'm going to sit down somewhere and I'm directly in the line of sight of somebody behind me, like, some people won't even notice. They'll just sit. They'll be like, "Oh, I didn't realize that."
That's
and
true.
For me, I'm always looking around, going, that's got to be annoying to that person. Like, I feel uncomfortable sitting here. I'm gonna sit behind them, and I'd rather have an obstructed view than bother them. You know what I mean? Some stuff like that.
And I think we've said it in the past too, like with the driving thing. It's like really hard to understand people's intent, because if you assume that their intentions are good, like you had said, a few episodes ago, right? Like assume positive intent. Yeah. Like, if you do that, you're going to end up feeling better about yourself, of course, and you're not going to be annoyed all day. But I think you're going to be wrong a good part of the time. I think. Because I thought about that afterwards. I was like, I'm going to assume a positive tendency. And then you see people and you're like, there is no way.
My assumption is wrong.
No way that you didn't know that, like, you just sat in front of me with a hat that's this big. Right. Like, there's no, you can't possibly have, like, said, well, oops.
Didn't realize this was my giant cranium was in front of you, right?
Pretty sure you're saying, I don't care what anybody behind me, as long as I can see, I don't know. It's a hard one for me, but because you can't tell, it's difficult to navigate life that way, right? Because if you assume positive intent, you're like, I'm just kidding myself, and you get mad. And if you assume negative intent, then you're mad all the time because everyone's a jerk, It's like, there's just no winning this game, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But, in certain situations, if you assume positive intent, you could say, hey, could you move over a little, or could you just shift a bit? And if it's a positive, and they did, I didn't realize it, I'm sorry, I'll be okay. Instead of turning around and maybe giving you the bird, and then you realize that they did it on purpose, right? And then I guess you can get two different situations or two different scenarios. But
Well, like this is one that bothers me. Okay, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. It kind of leads into it. All right, so dogs. Right, dogs.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Now I'm not a dog owner.
Like pets, like pet dogs, like my Roxy,
pet dogs.
my chocolate lab. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not a dog owner. You are.
Yes, I am.
Okay. And so I understand that dog owners are really, really like in love with their dogs and whatever. Something's happened over my lifetime though that it's become very normal and acceptable for people to bring their dogs everywhere, right?
Yes.
And so I have a problem with that, to be honest with you, because there are certain places that it doesn't bother me, right? But there are other places where it's like, to be honest with you, stores. I mean, if it's a pet store, it's one thing, but like Home Depot. Okay, I'm in Home Depot the other day, and people got these big dogs. Now, some people are afraid of dogs, by the way.
Yes.
But so I'm at the aisle. Picture, I'm looking.
Are you afraid of dogs?
No, I'm not afraid of dogs.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't trust every dog. You know, like dog owners know their dogs, but I see this monster Rottweiler like sitting next to me. I'm like, whoa,
not to trust every dog. Yeah.
Well, I didn't choose to be there with you. So anyway,
right.
I'm looking at stuff on the aisle and, you know, whatever. And there's a person like a reasonable distance away from me, right? Like not crowding me, anything else. He's got this monster dog, right? And so the dog's on a leash, and the leash is about the same distance as is between me and this person, right? So what do you think is happening? The dog comes over.
Dog's coming right to you. Right.
Sniffing around, you know, as dogs will do. And I'm trying to pick out my whatever I'm doing. And I got this dog sniffing my crotch.
You know, him close. He's just like, he just wants to sniff the undercarriage a little.
This is the problem.
He likes undercarriages.
Like, you know, because it's become socially acceptable. Like we're just all supposed to be okay with this, right? There's not one attempt of the guy to be like, oh, you know, Fido, hold on. Oh, sorry. No, it's just like, go. Oh, you find something you like there? Take a bite, you know?
Look tasty
here. Yeah. Okay, so I kid you not, right? And this might just be a bad dog owner, but kid you not. So I was like, of course this is going to happen. So I go to the shop a little bit more and I run into this person again. So this time I'm going one way, they're going the other, and we're in an aisle. And you know, there's like fence posts, like we're in the fencing area. Okay. What do you think? Okay. Of course.
The dog just lifted a leg.
Lifted the leg right on the
It's the middle of Home Depot?
The middle of Home Depot.
It's just at Home Depot.
Yeah. Now, I cannot say that the dog lingered there, right? Because I think in this case, the owner saw it and like pulled him away. But I'm sure a little something got out, right?
Yeah.
Even if not, like
marking territory.
Yeah, and even if not, like, of course that's going to happen. It's a dog. The dog doesn't know, you know, like he's taking a walk and he sees a fence post and he lifts his leg and that's what it's going to be. And I'm like, so my whole thing is like, I guess it's up to Home Depot if that's what they want the culture to be. But why has this become such an acceptable thing? We go to restaurants, and if it's an outdoor restaurant, people bring their dog.
People bring their dogs.
And it's like, well, you know, can't you leave the dog at home? Maybe not everybody likes dogs. Is that a possibility? I don't know, right? So as a dog owner, you have to tell me, where am I off here?
This is a great one, by the way.
Thank you.
Because this is a great one because I believe myself and my wife may have different viewpoint on this, by the way. But first of all, I want to put out the caveat out there. Any dog we are talking about being in a store or anywhere else is not a service dog. We're not talking about service dogs. If they're helping someone and they need to help someone, at least I assume we're not talking about service dogs.
Yeah, of course we're not talking about actual service dogs. But I will be very honest, you know, of course, like anything, if somebody wants to call it a service dog because it's emotional support or whatever else, how do you draw that line? Like if somebody needs a dog to help them see, that's one thing. But if somebody needs a dog to help them for emotional support, maybe there are situations and instances where that is true. But how do you distinguish that from somebody who just wants the dog because they get sad without it? I mean, so I'm not talking about real service dogs.
Right.
But I may be talking about what you think is an emotional support dog because I don't even know what the heck that is. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you there.
Put it out there.
And I think, you know, so I also want to clarify something before I dig in a little bit more here is the issue is bringing animals everywhere, but is the real issue not controlling your animal as well and not making sure they're by your side, not bothering other people, sort of, you know, because if somebody was walking around, if that dog owner didn't let him go, you know, sniff your grundle and you were walking around and he was walking around.
But he would have wanted to, and that's just as bad.
No, baby, but
what are you looking at?
Temptation's not as bad as the action now. Come on.
I see you sniffing from a distance.
You looking at me?
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yes, I think there is an element of that, but also, can you really control a dog? I mean, it's a dog, right? It's an animal. I don't know. Can you really? Yeah. How much control can you actually have over a dog?
What you train them.
Anything?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
For sure. So, all right. So let's dig into this a little bit. Right, dog owner, love my dog. I have a chocolate lab, Roxy. She's awesome.
And labs are a very nice dog. I will say.
Yeah, she's awesome. But she likes to jump. She likes people. Right? People walk through the door. She wants the space between the door and the next 5 feet. when you first come in, unless you know Roxy, and know to just kind of put your hand down, she's going to want to get up there a little bit, right? She acts like a puppy once in a while. You move beyond the 5 feet from the door, she's calm, she's chill, she'll walk around, she'll sit by your feet, and she's totally great.
So we walk in your house, the dog is jumping on you, your mother-in-law's,
dude, it's chaos.
It's nuts.
Roxy, stop it. Roxy, get down. You want a cookie? It's nuts. Anywho, we'll move on from that one. But yeah, that's at 7 a.m. Anyways,
crafting videos coming from the bathroom fan. You got quite the house.
Dude, it's chaos. It's chaos. And that doesn't include, none of that includes my kids, by the way. That is just my wife and my mother-in-law. But
all right, sorry, go ahead.
So with the dog situation I am not a big supporter of taking my dog places. Okay. That is just, part of it is selfish, right? And part of it is sort of, I know who I am. And this goes very much to the same thing that I think we were talking about earlier. If I'm walking my dog, and I like to walk her in a park and whatnot, which is, I think, fine, right down some trails, other people walking dogs and stuff. If I'm even doing that, I keep my dog by my hip, right? I don't want the dog maybe fighting with another dog. I don't want him jumping on anybody. I don't know who's who. So I really feel like I have a lot on my shoulders to keep the dog by my hip. If I took him to, a baseball game or to, a brewery where people take dogs all the time now that are outside, restaurant stuff, I feel like I got to keep her real close. So I'm like, I'm not taking her.
Because you are self-aware of other people. Yeah, this is what we're talking about, right?
And I'll watch, maybe one of the kids hold her and let her go and, let her go sniff people while they're eating or do whatever. And I'll lose my mind, right? I'll be like, no, and then I jump in and my stress is of, hey, don't bother people like that. Like, keep it by your side, right?
Right.
So even if my wife's like, I'll hold the dog. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to hold the dog because you're going to hold the dog. Then I'm going to get frustrated about how you're holding the dog. And then I'm going to get involved. So leave
the dog at home is all that comes down to.
Again, it could be me, right? So we leave the dog at home. So I leave the dog at home.
Right.
We haven't talked. That's just it, right? And the real thing that bothers me again is that you can take dog places and people can take dogs out and they can do things fine. But this is my perspective, at least. Keep it to you. Like, I love dogs. Yeah. I love dogs. If I want to come see your dog, I'll come over and say, hey, do you mind if I pet your dog or this and that? Don't make the dog approach me because I don't know who the dog is. It's a strange dog. I was taught at a very young age, and I've had friends of mine that got attacked by dogs when I was growing up, right? So yeah, you know how to handle when it's a dog you don't know. You got to be careful, right?
And I want to know that somebody's got control of the dog. And there are people that are afraid of dogs. Like, my mom is deathly afraid of dogs, right? Always has been afraid of dogs. I'd say deathly. I mean, she's been afraid of dogs. She doesn't like being around dogs. And so, now she, as it turns out, doesn't leave the house. But if she did, I can imagine that in today's world, it would be very uncomfortable, right? Like, for people that don't like dogs, and especially uncomfortable when the dog owners assume that everyone's supposed to be, loving their dogs.
With dogs. You gotta love dogs. It's my dog.
It's just
because I know how great Roxy is, right? I know she'll never bite anybody. She'll lick you. She loves you. She's great. But you don't know that.
I don't know that. Now, if somebody's giving off a vibe that, like, I'm a dog lover and I'm going to come and pet the dog and
they squat down maybe a little.
Fine, okay.
And do
then you're all in your own little thing. But, I think it's one of those things that just drives me a little bit nuts. And I got another one for you, because this one, I have tried to unpack this as many ways as I can. I cannot understand it, but you tell me what's behind this, okay?
Okay.
All right. So dog owners walk their dogs, as they should, of course, right? Mm-hmm. And responsible dog owners, which I think in my area are probably most, will...
Otherwise, they get a hefty fine in your area. That's for sure.
Well, no, not as much as the leaf blower. I mean, your dog can crap all over the place. That's fine. But, turn on that leaf blower, man. No, there's no fine. But at the end of the day, you know where I'm going with this. The dog does its business, and people put it in the plastic bag, pick it up. That's what you're supposed to do, right? And so, you know where I live. I live on the in my backyard. There's a sidewalk, very public and, pretty busy. And I have this hill, where I do my holiday decorations, whatever else. Okay. So dog owners, occasionally you'll see a pile that somebody, all right. And you don't know if it's a dog or a fox or, bear, or whatever it is. I don't know. It's fine. But here's what I see much, much more than that is the dog owners picked up the poop, put it in the plastic bag, and leaves the plastic bag on the sidewalk, on the wall, on the whatever. I'm telling you, all over the place. I can't even tell you. I can take a walk right now, do a mile loop around my immediate neighborhood, and I will run into no less than 4 or 5 filled doggy bags.
Why go through the
that's what I'm trying to understand.
If you're going to leave it there.
they pick it up, they tie it, and they put it on the side of the sidewalk. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe they are going to come back for it. Like maybe
they don't.
Okay, they don't. But the only thing I can come up with is that they feel like they're doing their duty, so to speak, by picking some old-fashioned dad humor for you. So they feel like they're doing their duty by wrapping it up, but they don't want to carry it with them. That's the only thing it could be, right? I mean,
yes,
that's it.
They see a friend, they're walking together, they think it's gross, they put it in the bag, and then they
dangling from their purse or whatever.
Yeah, they don't want it.
I assume it's
the only thing I could, or their hip pocket,
or wherever they got.
The only thing I can imagine is exactly that. Is they are. Right? They don't want to be walking around with stinky poop. Like, I'll pick it up, but you didn't tell me I have to carry it.
I don't have to carry it. Like, someone else is going to pick that up, right? I mean, don't we have people for that? Yeah, we have me.
I mean, it's
That's
just
who
plastic.
Picks it up. I go around picking up the poop bags off of my own property because I have a perfect place for it, right? You know, I have that like kind of old stone wall, you know, and so it's
right against.
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, you know, you do your thing and you tie it up. And, here's a place for it, and
put it right there.
And Stupid, of course, picks it up. And but I'm like, so you don't see this around here? I'm telling you, this is everywhere here in the parks, everywhere.
No, I don't. But I bet you the reason why I don't is I go to the same place basically. Yeah, you know, the whole loop we can walk around, whatever, all abandoned. Insane asylum, actually, here in town. But there's garbage cans in different locations, and the town comes and picks them up. So if somebody is picking up the plastic, they're not walking too far to just throw it in a garbage.
Oh, yeah.
And so they do have the ease and the ability of getting rid of them that way. So I assume that's why I don't see that much.
There's no garbage pails here because it's a private, you know, I mean, not private, but it's neighborhoods. I mean, who has garbage? Yeah. But I had thought about that. I had thought about putting a garbage pail on my hill there. And because it's not just poop bags. I mean, people will take, this is another thing I can't understand. You know, right, quarter mile from town, as you know, Dunkin' Donuts is there, whatever else. And people will get their drink and then they start walking back home. They finish their drink, they throw it in my yard. Literally just throw it in my yard.
I can't even fathom. Yeah. I can't even fathom that, right? Like it's crazy that people think that that's okay. Like I once threw an apple core out my window once. Like I was at a stop sign and I had to I wanted to get rid of an apple core because it was hot. And I honestly probably looked around my car for like 1,000 times to make sure nobody would see it if it was an apple core, which is really degradable. It's going to be fine in the environment.
Sure.
Not a plastic bag.
Plastic bag or a cup.
Something like that. Like,
and that kind of thing, when I see those kinds of things like bottles or cups or this or that, I'm like, there is no other explanation. Like, that's not a self-awareness. That's not positive intent. That's not like, oh, there was an emergency and I had jumped
dropped my
cups everywhere.
Exactly.
The only explanation for that is, I don't want to carry it anymore. That's it. So I have to imagine that if some percentage of people are doing that with cups, then some percentage of people are doing that with poop bags,
there's
right?
There's no other reason.
It can't be.
Literally, I can't think of another thing.
Oh, did you say literally? Oh, jeez.
No, I said literally.
No, you said literally.
Oh, did I?
You did.
I
can't
literally?
Stand that.
Yeah, all right. I didn't mean to do that because usually I don't say that.
I hate when people do literally. Literally, yeah. You did say it. Oh, God, James.
That's typically not one of my speech problems. I have a lot of them too.
So many people are saying it. It's like it's become like it's literally whatever. I'm like, no, it's not literally. There's no literally. There's an E in there. Anyway, sorry. I know.
I didn't mean to set you off.
It's okay. Don't.
I didn't mean to set you off.
I'm already all riled up.
But
the problem.
Poop bags.
That's the issue.
Yeah, no kidding. My goodness. Anyways, there is no reason unless like your dog got excited and, yanked the leash and automatically the hand let go and the poop bag went flying or, something crazy like that, It's actually worse. I would actually hazard a guess to say that leaving a poop on the side of the sidewalk is probably better to just leave it alone than to put it in a plastic bag and create a poop bomb with it that will never degrade. It's worse for the environment. It's worse for everything. Just leave the poop if that's the case.
I mean,
what good are you doing?
Put it in a bag. It never goes away. I'm telling you, I have found things under piles of leaves that they don't decompose. They just don't decompose.
Yeah, they don't decompose.
So
exactly.
it's unbelievable. This is something completely unrelated, but it makes me think about too, like what happens on that back sidewalk. There's so many people use it, right? During the fall, we have a lot of oak trees there and leaves fall on the sidewalk. So maybe 3-4 times in that fall season, I will, go with my non-gas leaf blower, of course. And
at the right time of day.
Yeah, the right time of day, make sure that nobody's disturbed by it. And I'll blow the leaves, whatever else. But I don't do it every day, obviously, because you can't do it every day. Okay, so I go out there one day, and there's a random person, right? Because the sidewalk is well used by a lot of people. A random person that's out there raking up the leaves off of my sidewalk, right? Which is clearly my responsibility and my property, by the way. But whatever. So raking up the leaves,
he's
and
doing
I'm
good,
figuring, okay, this is a runner or somebody likes to use the sidewalk, whatever. And so I go out there. And I'm like, I see him. I was like, oh man, this is really nice of you. Thank you so much for doing that. I usually do it 4 times a year. He's like, mm-hmm. I'm like,
judging you.
I'm like, I'm sorry. He's like, well, it's impassable. Like, then don't pass it. Like,
it's
no one invited you.
Are you serious?
Jerk. Yeah. I'm like, is that why you're here cleaning up so you could put it in somebody's face and tell somebody how wonderful you are and that you're not using the leaf blower either, by the way. You're raking it. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You're going to yell at me? I'm like, you know what? Now I'm not going to do it. And I haven't. I'm like, that's it. You ruined it for everybody.
And I think you found the poop bagger.
That's the poop bagger.
He's the poop bagger. He is like, you're not going to rake it. You're not going to clean your sidewalk. I'm going to leave a little deuce bags in here for you. You know what I mean? I'm going to leave you little bombs on the sidewalk if you're not going to clean it. Yeah, there it is.
That's why subconsciously I tied those two things together. Or maybe people are just jerks. That could be it too.
They're lazy.
I think they are. I don't know, James. But anyway.
Yep.
So, there it is.
That
crazy. Was my beep. I have one more little thing to ask you about.
Okay. Uh-oh.
No, it's not.
Well,
I didn't know. It's not really politics, but it's politics in a way. I don't know if we're going to have time to even talk about it in the time we have left, but it is something that's very interesting. Now, because we're 2 weeks behind, right? I'm talking about this now, and but okay. So just this week, of course, Biden dropped out of the race, as I predicted. You will all see that, and many people predicted it, so it's not like I'm something special. And then Kamala Harris now looks like she's going to get the nomination. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever. Here's what I do care about. So lots and lots of people that I know who, to this point, were vehemently against Kamala Harris, right? Just like every time you bring up, oh my God, this, she's that, oh my God, if Biden never goes, I can't believe it. And these are generally Biden fans, not all, of course, but almost unanimously, the people who supported Biden did not support Kamala Harris for millions of reasons. The same reasons, by the way, that they didn't support her in the primaries when when she didn't make even the last round. Okay, whatever. That's your opinion. Here's the part that I have a problem with. So now all of a sudden, media turns on Biden. Media brings and boosts up Kamala Harris. These same people, I kid you not, people that were 3 weeks ago saying how much, all of a sudden they're posting on Facebook, I'm with her, telling us oh my God, she's the best. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so proud to have Kamala Harris. I'm like, but you just said you hated her. I'm not judging whether you should or shouldn't. I'm just saying you said that. You were totally against this person.
Right.
And now all of a sudden the media tells you that she's the one. And it just makes me think about the power of advertising, right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed any of this too? I mean,
yes. 1,000%, right? So I sit back and I don't put my thoughts or perspectives or any of that stuff out there in socials.
Yeah,
I talk to my wife and we're good, and that's it. I don't get involved in any of those pieces. I'm like, but I watch and I listen and I look, and it's 100% what's happening is that people are following whatever's being told of them, right?
Yeah.
They're only listening to, one piece, whatever they want to listen to, which is going to persuade people to do X. And they're just following along. And what that does is a multitude of things. But one of the big things for me is like, when I read that from people, I'm like, how strong is your stance? Like, how strong is really your conviction? How easily, exactly, as a human, how easily are you persuaded? Everything you've said in the past makes me question, like, did you really mean it? Did someone just say it and you're parroting it? And the parrots that are out there, right? Like, they just hear one thing and then they go with it. They hear this thing on the news and they go with it, right? And I'm like, do your own work. Like, fine. If you want to turn around and go, hey, I didn't like Kamala because of all of these reasons, and now I've determined that they're not true.
I was wrong, or
something different.
Like, give me some reasons. I 100% agree. I would buy it, or maybe I might not agree, but fair. I might say, okay, at least you've thought it through.
That's fair. Exactly. And I would still go back. I still want to go back to respecting people's, and not even talking about this again, if you ask me. Yeah. Like, I want to go back to the point where I didn't even want to talk about who I voted for at a dinner table. Because that's the world that we should be in, where people can feel free to vote for who they want to vote for, and not feel like they're going to open an argument or, have threats against them because they voted for X, Y, and Z. That should be back in the closet. We should be able to do it ourselves and not have to communicate it. But by the way, doesn't it make
those conversations and those arguments that much more frustrating when you know that the majority of people, and I will put the majority of people in this category, are having those arguments with no basis, right? They just whatever the media, last media that they watched told them. And again, this could 100%. Be on either side. So this is clearly not a Democrat versus Republican. This is
both sides.
A people thing. Sides. And I think this happened with the COVID vaccine, which one day we'll talk about, right? Because you and I had plenty of conversations about that. But it happened with that. It happens with so much stuff that it's so easy to manipulate people or influence, because I think most people don't want to think for themselves. They don't want to research anything. They just want to, whatever they're told and is trending, that's it. That's it.
That's it.
And boy, have I seen, I mean, maybe, I'm sure this has always existed. Of course it's always existed. But man, either I'm becoming way more aware of it or there's way more examples of it now. But these are like just blatant, unbelievable things that overnight these people have just flipped. And by the way, flip to the point where you can't talk to them. But wait a minute.
Staunch advocates like that when they were against a little while ago, and now they're going to literally puff their chests about it.
Yeah.
And it's all part of the fact that we're all communicating these things so much more, right? Like, when you feel something, you're saying it, right? You're putting it out there. We're just saying who we like and why we like them, and we're trying to and then we become a team member. Like, this is all about a team member, by the way. This is all about which side are you on, and period, right?
Yeah.
That's what humans love, to be a part of the winning team, as opposed to what's best for our country as a whole. And again, like I'm talking about both sides here. Like, there's one team looks like this and one team looks like that. And you would think in the society in which we live, and so much information is available to you, you would stop looking at TikTok videos of people dancing and do some research. Like, use your phone or your computer to do something intelligent and stop creating TikTok videos with your kids.
Thank you, James. That's right. We dumb everything down to whatever is like the most, self-gratifying thing in the world. Like you said, right away. What are we going to do?
Feel good. I just want to ease my mind and relax. And then dancing.
Somebody
said I should like this or like that, so I'm going to post that I like this or that. And then I'm going to spend 3 hours creating a dancing video with my kids.
That could be.
Spend 3 hours researching your
position,
candidates,
right?
Please. Your position, so you can be strong and defend yourself and have your own thoughts. Please create your own thoughts.
Researching the shot that they're telling you you're supposed to get. Maybe that would be better than a TikTok video.
Don't just believe it.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry.
There you go. Okay, it is a big problem. So this is how I'm going to wrap up, or because we're just about out of time. But so that that thing I was at this weekend, my social, me getting out of my house. I haven't seen this guy in so long. It was one of my cousin's best friends growing up. The guy is brilliant, right? He's done really successful, really just one of those people that you talk to and you're like, you're learning things, right? Because he thinks about things differently. Sure. Well, you're going to think this is crazy, but one of the things that he talked about was he's kind of been he reads a lot, and he's into this simulation theory. I don't know if you've ever heard that there are people that believe, and this isn't conspiracy stuff. This is like scientific. I'll unpack it in a future episode a little bit more. Okay. But that people that believe that we are in a giant simulation of some type, right? Oh, now, not like necessarily the Matrix with some, evil Star Trek, person but like that we have evolved as a result of, a simulation. And you can kind of think about it from the standpoint of if AI really does what it's supposed to do and it starts to work, right? It could learn itself. And then how are you going to distinguish the AI things are going to think they're alive or whatever? So maybe there's something anyway, it's far out. I get it, right?
Yeah, that's
way out there. And I'm admittedly not all bought in on it. I just want to, research it more because I think it's a fascinating thing. Just like all these conversations about the universe and the afterlife, all this stuff we don't know, right? I like keeping our minds open to millions of things. Okay. So without anybody thinking I'm kooky, things like this, well, a little, but things like this kind of make me believe those things more. Because I can't explain it any other way,
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. Maybe we are in a simulation and some of the sims, they're just really not well programmed.
And someone's got to put you in your place, Bob.
Yeah. Or maybe somehow somebody
you've got to learn.
Somebody behind the scenes saying, "Okay,
change your code
Kamala,
overnight for you."
Kamala. No, you don't like her. I'm going to flip you into a fan of this one, right? Oh,
we got a rogue one. We got a rogue one over here. We got Bob Caporale. He's gone rogue. We got to correct him quick.
My character is now a Republican. I was like, let's just see what that happens. What does that do? I was like, that would be.
Wow.
I mean, there's some. I'm sure that it's not real, but it's plausible. I don't know. More and more plausible every day, I would say so. Anyway, maybe that's where we leave this one.
It's probably a good spot.
We'll wait for me to research this more, and then maybe I'll have some more color type. But for now, it is an interesting thing to look at.
There's a lot there.
He's given me some books to look at. So.
Man, did we hit a lot today? We hit a lot today.
Well, this is what happens. We're pent up 2 weeks without doing a show.
Exactly.
Here we are. Anyway, all right. Well, I guess that's probably a wrap on this episode. So everyone out there, if you like this, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, comment, interact with James, because I'm not going to. Apparently, you're not going to get interaction with me, but I'm going to be off in the sim. But definitely, we really appreciate you and hope you'll continue to tune in. And while you're doing all that great stuff, we'll see you back here on another episode of
Beyond the Beef.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thanks, guys.